Hello everybody, today we're going to be replacing the thermostat with thermostat housing for my 2003 BMW Z4. This is a 3.0 6-speed manual. I do not believe it matters whether yours is a manual or an automatic. The cooling system should be the same. For parts, I ordered off of OEMBimmerparts.com. They're listed under the E46 section as they do not have a Z4 section. The part, if you want to look at it here, it's quite straightforward. This is the old part. However, I will walk you through the process on how to replace it. This is situated as it is in the front of the engine, just behind your fan, to the left of your oil filter. And from our right, we're going to have the, so from here, from here we're going to have the upper radiator hose. From here, we're going to have the lower radiator hose. Two sensors. One sensor's here, seen here, okay? The other sensor is coming off from the lower radiator hose, seen here, okay? So, step one, before we get into the details of all this, you want to get access. So, go ahead and remove your top cover panel. There's two screws, one here, and the rest are kind of, you know, Phillips screw a bit out and then push out the plastic plugs. On the bottom for the drain or for the catch pan, whatever you want to call it, there's a number of size 8 wrenches, so just use your socket wrench. And I believe there's a number of 1, 2, 3, for about 5 in the front, 3, and this is on the bottom of the car, of course, 3 there, 3 there, and then 3 single ones in the back. So you're gonna have to lift your car up if you want to do that. So after you get access, the first thing you want to do is drain your system. This is quite easy. If you know your coolant is recent, you want to reuse it, go ahead and just using an oil pan, just put a trash bag over it and catch it that way. That's what I did end up doing. So on the bottom of the car, we have, all right, we have this blue, where are we at? This blue pin right here. Okay, this is going to be to the bottom of your reservoir. Unscrew that. You don't have to take it all the way out. You'll start seeing coolant, you'll start seeing coolant come out from here where my finger's touching. The other screw is to the radiator. You want to be careful with this one here. Okay, again, it's a Phillips. You want to unscrew it, but be careful not to be unscrewing the from the wrench here. If you unscrew from the wrench, the whole thing's going to come out. Okay, that's how you install that. So anyways, this comes all the way out, and of course you're going to start draining. One drain there, the other one, like I said, is from here, and it'll start shooting out that way. So make sure you kind of position it closer to the tire to catch. Then up top, to get the flow really moving, of course, undo your cap here, and then go ahead and unscrew your screw here. This actually comes all the way out. Be careful not to lose the rubber O-ring that's connected to that, and set these two aside. Okay, so now we're draining, let it drain, and come back when it's done. So the first thing to do when replacing your thermostat housing is going to go ahead and remove your sensors. So the bottom sensor here connected to your lower radiator hose. All you gotta do is push down where my pointing finger is and pull out, okay? It's very easy. Same thing with the top that's connected here. You push down, okay? Push in and lift up, and it'll come out. If you want them, those are connected to the same wiring harness. If you want the wiring harness to really be out of your way, you can go ahead and undo it from this hook as well and kind of slide it up. So then you're gonna take your flathead, kind of put it inside of this ring here and pop off the ring. I like to take it all the way off and then slide it back on once you're done, because if you don't, the slightest kind of bump re-engages it and it makes it annoying to get off. So do that for the top hose and do that for the bottom hose. The same thing, just using a flathead, okay? So for me, I was able to get this hose off because I had it off before when I replaced the radiator already. And I'm sorry I didn't videotape the whole process. If you guys want me to walk you through it, just leave a comment saying you want me to explain it to you, and I will. But go ahead and take this off and make sure that the O-ring that is within this plastic hose for the radiator hose stays within it, okay? On the bottom, I tried taking it off. It was a bit more stiff, and these are gonna be stiff if it's your first time taking them off. Just believe me, they come off just in a simple sliding manner, okay? You can want to use a flathead to kind of nudge it off. Don't pry it apart and try and push it down. Just, you know, push it down from the corner here, from this edge. Okay, costs on these parts, if you mess up or anything, about $20–25 per hose, and thermostat is about $50. And I bought mine, I don't remember if I told you guys, mine was OEMBimmerParts.com. But once you get the 2 hoses off, you're ready to take the 4 bolts off, okay? If you're having trouble taking the bottom one off like I did, I went ahead and just undid my bolts, so I had more ability to kind of pull the hose off while pulling on the old thermostat housing. So the top right bolt is going to be a size 13. The other 3 are a size 10. So you just take all those 4 bolts off and you just pull it out, okay? But before you pull, the top right bolt, if you pay attention here, is connected to other components of your car. So you see this silver plate in front right here, my finger's touching it, it's preventing you from pulling it out. So rotate the whole thing clockwise and then pull out. So once you've rotated clockwise and pulled out, this spring might give you a bit of it was kind of preventing you from pulling it out very easily. You kind of feel it want to spring back in. Give it a good pull, it'll come out. Nothing's gonna break. This is how it's meant to be, okay? So my old seal specifically, my leak was coming from this seal here. My thermostat was fine, but you know, they kind of sell these in one unit, so I just went ahead and replaced it all. So you can kind of see it's where my finger was touching that I had a leak from. In addition to that, my radiator initially was leaking from right about here. Thankfully everything else is fine. Did a visual inspection and a couple test runs to make sure there was no other leak in my system. So to put it back together, it's quite simple, okay? It's just reverse. So you want to slide it in, push it in counterclockwise, put your full bolts in, the size 13 and the 3 size 10s, and then put your bottom radiator hose in and your top one. What I like to do, once my radiator hoses were off, within them was an O-ring, okay? Not here, but within the radiator hose. Go ahead and take some silicone spray within it. That way, next time you want to come in, it's easy to come out, and it just keeps the O-ring lubricated. I also applied silicone to here all the way around and to here all the way around. And once you struggle with your own, you'll understand why I did that. So I did do that to here and ran it for, you know, 1,000, 2,000 miles. I haven't had a leak, so it's not going to cause you any issues. If it does, I don't know what's going on there. But once you do that, your bolts are back in, your hoses are back on. Remember to put your 2 metal C-ring clamps back on, okay? And then you want to reattach your sensors. The sensor down here simply pushed and clicked in. The sensor up top here kind of had to push the silver, what's it called? The silver, we'll call it a spring, and then push the sensor back in, and that's seated. So don't forget on the bottom to replace your blue screw, okay? You can tighten that all the way up, and your screw that you took out to the bottom of your radiator, put it all the way back in. Make sure those are nice and snug. In terms of specs, I don't have any specific numbers. These are plastic components, so don't over torque. And then you should be ready to fill it up. So we have that taken care of. The only thing that is not back on your car or not in its original position from when you started is going to be the cap and this little plug. This little plug you can keep out, cap off, okay? I used BMW antifreeze mixed to 50-50 using distilled water, okay? And just kind of go ahead and fill it all the way back up. By having this off, your coolant is going to flow into your system as well, and hopefully all the air bubbles will find their way out. If you don't have this off and you're putting this in, you're just going to fill up the coolant reservoir and have trouble coming into your system. Okay, so mine took about the same amount of coolant it did for me to that it originally had. So I just put it back in, and what I like to do to make sure there's no dirt, if you're reusing your clean antifreeze, mine was not even 1,000 miles old from when I did this. Okay, I did these in 2 separate sittings. I just use a strainer, and there wasn't much to catch, but you know, it's a $1 strainer sacrificed for a better cause. So once that's done, you can go ahead and screw this back in, screw your lid back on or your cap back on, and I like to leave it off, the top panel and the bottom panel off. Let your car warm up, go for a test drive, come back and let it park, let it cool down, reevaluate your level, look at the bottom, make sure you're not leaking from anywhere else. Chances are, if your car is old enough that you're already leaking from here, you're going to be leaking elsewhere. Like I said, I did replace my radiator. Again, sorry I did not make a video. I went with the Nissens. Okay, if you want the item number, it's right there. And that is pretty much how you replace your thermostat and thermostat housing. If you guys have any questions, put in the comment section below, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much, and have a great week, guys.